In this chapter, we'll be taking a look at the Ember.js architecture and the core components that are involved in it. The first thing, whenever you make a request via browser address bar URL, that URL is then mapped to a router. The router further maps that URL to a route, and it's the route's responsibility to load associated models and then set those models on the controller. The route also is responsible for rendering the view once the controller has got the model, and after that it can set states on view, and the view is then responsible to render the associated template, or the controller can by default, based on the naming convention, can find a related template and render that. So that's the whole crux of it. And now let's understand what exactly these components are. So we have models. Models are basically the data on which our application runs. So anything that your application is made up of, for instance, if it's an inventory system where you are taking care of all the products and orders, so all those things will be considered as models. And then you have the router. Now the router is just a synopsis of all your routes, so it's a collection of all the routes that you're serving. For instance, you can say if you're trying to navigate to about us section, that would be a route. And then you have let's say a list of courses being displayed on one page, so that URL basically to that list of courses will be another route. So all such collection of routes is basically there inside the router, so kind of a URL representations of all the routes. Then we have controller. So basically the controller gets a model from a route, as you can see from the diagram. Then it makes the bridge between the model and the view or the template, and controllers are automatically generated by Ember.js, and in case you need to extend them or add some properties to it, you can easily do that as well. There is an extension provided by Ember for Firefox and Chrome called Ember Inspector, which we have used in this course, and that comes very handy to understand how exactly Ember.js generates all these controllers and views by default. Some controllers like application and index controllers, their routes are also defined by default by Ember.js. Then we have views. Views basically represent particular parts of your application. A view is associated with a controller and a handlebars template and a route. So if you're talking about a view, it has got associations with controller, route, and template. Then coming on to templates. Simply put, a template is basically just HTML markup. It prints the model data and automatically updates itself when the model changes. And in Ember.js, we make use of handlebars, which is a lightweight templating engine also maintained by the Ember team. And it has the usual templating logic like if and else, loops, and formatting helpers. We have explored that in detail in this course, so we will be taking a look at that as well. And there are a couple of ways using which we can make use of templates. The easiest one is by making use of the script tag in our HTML pages, and then we can further move on and pre-compile our templates. So we'll see how we can do that by making use of grunt tasks. That will be covered later in this course. So these are the core components using which we make an Ember application work.